approximately 84,000 older people living in poverty in Wales, with some 50,000 of those in extreme poverty. These figures were taken before the current energy crisis. We spoke to homeowners in Newport and tenants from Pobl Housing and Newport City Homes to find out how are the over 60s living. Is it really all doom and gloom?
My name's Mary Masterson. I've lived in Woodside for 13 years. I'm Irish and I came to Wales the 12th of August 1964, 1 week after I married.
I'm Française, I'm French. I've been in this country since 1975.
I'm Margaret and I'm Irish and I'm in Wales since 1964.
I'm Greta Bradley. I'm an ex-army wife. I came to Wales because I wasn't too good, and that's how I came here.
How old is your daughter?
She's 74. My next one is 73. It goes down all the time like that.
We lived in Betters for over 40 years, which we loved. We had a very big garden, which my husband wasn't very able to look after it anymore. He didn't want anybody else to do it. And there was an open day here and we came down to see and we just fell in love with the place. Much to everyone's dismay, and we had a lot of negative thinking, oh, don't move there, don't move to Dufferin, oh my God. But we've loved it.
When I was in school in France learning English, it was the habit to have a pen friend in the country. So I got a pen friend in Cardiff. We wrote for a few years, and she invited me to her wedding. So I went to the wedding, and my husband was usher at the wedding. That's the way I met him. And we were married about a year later. We lived in Caerphilly for a while. Then we moved to Newport, where my daughter was living with a grandson. And I've been there in Newport for about 23 years now.
Billy, my husband, when we came, he took over this little patch and that was his garden. And he did it for years and years.
Can you describe a typical day?
Yeah, Eldrin, my husband, around doing. No, we are partners and very similar tastes. Get up. He does get up first. I have a lie-in because I need my beauty sleep more now than ever before.
Well, get up in the morning. My granddaughter comes and with her little one, and we sort of have bit of breakfast. Then we go off shopping and come back. Go into town, do a little bit of shopping in town if need be.
I love reading, especially newspapers and doing crosswords. It keeps my brain active.
In the evenings, go down to the Curve, have a little chinwag with the other ladies.
I'm not into gossip, but I like to learn things, whether it's playing a new game with cards or learning about history, or my brain is still active. So I'm interested in lots of different things. I'm hardly ever bored.
Well, I get up and have my breakfast, and then I usually, do a bit of housework and that. And I walk to Asda because I think it does me good. Yeah.
Do you like walking?
Yes, yes.
Pretty varied, because I like to keep busy, especially, since retirement and everything. So I got lots of interests. As I said, the reality theatre and dancing and walking. I like to spend quite a bit of time in my garden, And evenings, I like to stay in mostly and watch the television.
I find them very friendly, and I get tormented a lot because I'm English, and but that's it. And there's a lot goes on here, like, you know, and I go to everything.
People are living longer and healthier lives, but with leaps in life expectancy, retirement age continues to rise. The typical day for an older person has changed. It's no longer about flower arranging, wartime sing-alongs and seated exercise. Today's older people lead an active, purposeful life. They're volunteering, they're working, they're socialising, they're dancing, they're travelling, they're looking after children and grandchildren. They say that 70 is the new 50, but an ageing population brings its own issues with it. At the other end of the scale, we have a rise in people with dementia. The number of mental health issues in older people has risen, and the over 60s are fast becoming one of the largest groups of carers within the home. We need to ask ourselves, just how equipped is our society to deal with this new and diverse generation of older people?
I don't think anybody has a typical day. I have certain health problems that mean I'm up and about a lot during the night. And thus, although I'm awake at 6 o'clock in the morning, I may not necessarily be up and dressed at 6, but I do try to make sure I'm ready by 9, because my lovely neighbour will sometimes come along and give me information on something that may be happening, something that's happened in her family, and just keep me abreast of anything that's going on. The rest of the time, it's all my own. I can go shopping when I want, I can eat when I want, I watch television a lot, and I'm sometimes on my computer doing online surveys or just catching up with whatever's on MSN media messengers. I don't do Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or anything like that. I'm a bit wary of things like that.
At the moment, my days are filled really with sorting and packing, because I'm in the process of moving house. So I'm up early and sorting things. Sadly, my mum died at the end of last year, so I'm sorting through her bits and pieces as well, and trying to downsize, which is very difficult. But I also enjoy gardening very much, and Jane and I tend to belong to the same group, so I belong to the dancing group as well, and we do dancing on a Thursday, which is wonderful. Yeah, so, you know, fairly quiet life, but I try and keep busy.
What would you like to see happen to make for a happier and healthier older population right here in Newport?
Yeah, I think providing opportunities for older people to play a full part in society, you know, whether that's working on, if that's what they want to do, in paid employment, volunteering, having a good range of leisure facilities and activities that they can take part in. And there are good organisations around, like the University of the Third Age, you know, Newport Live as a leisure trust, provide a lot of activities and opportunities. But I also think, you know, there are huge issues around loneliness for older people. Families are more fragmented now. There isn't always the local family support that older people might need. But there are positives there as well. During the pandemic, for example, I think lots of local communities pulled together much more effectively and cohesively. And, you know, they did support older people, and new friendships and relationships have developed. So there are positives, but, you know, there's always a lot more to do.
What makes you happy?
Everything. Just seeing the trees grow, seeing flowers, the birds, the grandchildren especially. And when we meet up here, Thursday for craft, Wednesday morning, and we enjoy it, we laugh. My two friends from Bettis come out and they love it.
My family, My husband. I should have said him first. Being downstairs with all the other ladies and all, and having a, you know, when we used to have our little get-togethers, that was fabulous, that was. But yeah, I think I've got a happy life.
Happy is being with grandchildren. My garden, I love my garden. During the pandemic, I spent lots of time in my garden. And I enjoy my dancing. I used to do a lot of ballet. I so wish I could still do it, but now, you know, arthritis has come along and that's put an end to that. And also I just love, as I said before, I just love the reality theatre group. So those are the sorts of things that make me happy.
Simple pleasures, really, you know, planting flowers and just taking on an allotment and, you know, sort of going up there and tending the vegetables and, you know, picking the raspberries and taking them home. And that's lovely, really enjoy that. Being close to nature and back to the real basics of life, you know, sort of growing your own food and tending your garden and looking after the ones you love and my cats.
Tell me what worries you.
What worries me? Oh, my health. That's one thing I have noticed. Since I retired, it's almost as though my body has bitten back at me. I must have been pushing myself and then my body decided it had enough. And that is a bit of a worry, my health.
Aches and pains, can't get around like you used to, you forget yourself sometimes, or I do. I think, oh, I can do this, and then I know I can't then when it comes to do it. I mean, I used to be able to decorate, and I got to think twice now about standing on a stepladder, you know, that sort of thing.
Things like prescriptions, doctors, stupid things where, you know, you try and phone the electric board. I tried to phone the electric board and I was on the phone 4 hours. All right, I could do it, but I just keep thinking about the people that can't do that. And I feel so sorry for them, you know, it's really worrying how things are gonna go. Everything's difficult. When you've got to do something, nothing's straightforward. You can't just go and do it. You've got to go through so many people. It's just a big drain on everybody, but especially elderly people. And I mean, I'm quite fit and healthy, and it absolutely destroys me. So what it does to other people, I really don't know.
And the other thing is safety issues. I had this downstairs front door which is shared between myself and one other neighbour, and we're both very thankful that we have got this downstairs front door that locks at locks at midday and opens at about 6 a.m. in the mornings, because it gives us peace of mind. And there have been instances where the downstairs people who live in flats downstairs, they have noticed people lurking around. And I'm so thankful I don't have that.
Worried for my grandchildren. I think life is so hard today. I think it's hard for youngsters today. But I suppose they're used to it. They've never known any different. We've known things different. Even though when I was young, we didn't have much. But life seemed to be a lot easier than what it is for youngsters today.
I am an optimistic person, but I can also be a realist. And the ripples of this war is not just with Ukraine and Russia. They're reaching far across the world. So initially I'm not upset with a lot of the things going on in this country, but some of the countries are really, really suffering. And if you asked me a previous question about do I worry about things, very, very concerned about what's happening and the ripple effects of the war.
Well, I think at my age, it's best not to worry too much. I shan't go political, but it's very awkward, isn't it, that, and I don't trust it.
I lost my husband recently, so I'm on a decreased income, if you like. So I'm finding now that I have to think a lot more, perhaps, about, money, finance, and all those sorts of things, especially given the current state of affairs with all the things that are going up, with the energy costs and food and petrol and, well, just everything.
Well, I think, much like Jane, at the moment, sort of the price increases of everything, particularly sort of gas and electric and fuel, is really worrying. It's actually eating up most of your pension, basically. So you find that you've got less and less to just have a few simple sort of extras. It's one of the reasons I'm moving, because I can't afford to keep my mum's big house going. So that is a big worry for me. I don't know, I worry about bigger things as well, like what's going on in the world and climate change. And, I sometimes just decide I'm not going to watch the news for a week because it just upsets me too much. Such strife going on in the world. And yes, it's not a happy place to be, I don't think, at the moment, is it? Being alone as well in the house. Although my dear old mum, especially towards the end, really wasn't able to sort of help me in any way. I don't know, I seem to have a strength that I was able to carry on and do the right thing for us both. But now, I don't know, it's sort of, I seem to have lost a bit of that confidence, and it's being ultimately responsible, isn't it, for everything?
When one is getting older, it's not something you appreciate when you're young. You think, oh yeah, you get older, but you measure it purely in terms of years. Whereas now, as I'm that much older, I recognise that, as I said, I've got arthritis. I'm less able to do certain things, and that's not going to improve. So that sort of thing will, get worse over time. So that's sort of a worry for me personally. And sometimes can be quite depressing, actually.
What standard of living can or should our old people expect?
Well, it's a really good question, isn't it? I think the first thing to say is it's really positive that we do have an ageing population, because people are living longer, but they're also living healthier for longer. And all of that is good, but of course it does bring pressures on society and on government to provide enough funding, enough support and enough services. And I don't think anybody has easy answers for any of this. But, older people have every right to expect a good standard of living. And it must be provided by government. So one way or another, government has to find a way to deliver this. But it is a major challenge, I think.
Community is proven to be a major need for many of our older people, whether that's in terms of friendship, support, housing, etc. How can we ensure that community remains a central focus in future housing initiatives?
Yeah, well, I think, that's a challenge for Welsh Government and local authorities and the housing associations, isn't it? Housing associations now, I think, are increasingly doing a lot more than was once seen as their traditional role. So, they do provide a wider range of support and help for their residents and their communities, and staff that have a wider range of skills. So I think they're on a journey, really, housing associations, and a lot of that journey is about taking that wider view, looking at the bigger picture. What are the needs of their tenants in the round, and how can they help provide that supportive community? So I think we've seen positive developments, but it's perhaps at the beginning of that journey at the moment, I think.
Are you optimistic?
I am optimistic, yes, and You know, the older people I meet are optimistic as well, because I think they understand that, you know, there are always difficulties in life, and, you know, you have the wider sort of economic and social forces that affect their lives. But I think that the pandemic really has given us some important examples of how we can address these problems, and it is about communities pulling together, doing things for themselves, as well as having the support of local government, Welsh Government and organisations like housing associations.
Do you feel optimistic about the future?
I think it's best, I know this sounds awful, not to think about it too much, you know, just enjoy each day as it comes. I think that's best with everybody, really, yes. Because I don't envy the young ones like you know, jobs, you know, can be, like we could change our jobs very easy, but it's not easy for you, is it?
I just get along, you know, do what I have to do, and
Yeah. We'll just take it one day at a time and see how it goes, you know. That's life.
I don't look too far into the future personally for myself. I do try to take, you know, each day as it comes.
Just that I'm very grateful that I was given the opportunity to live here and have lovely friends here. It's great.
There's lots of different ways to show love. You know, what they call tough love, or cuddly love, or financial love. There's lots and lots of different ways, but love is, I know, sometimes lacking in lots of families, and it's given in lots of different ways, but yeah, you've got to have love.
Keep healthy and enjoy life. That's the best thing to do, really. Because nobody knows what the future really, do they? Not really. Or am I being...
Personally, I try to feel optimistic about my future and my family's future. And I try to feel optimistic about the future of the world, but that's really hard at the moment, you know. A lot of governments, including ours, don't seem to be, they talk the talk, but they don't seem to walk the walk, really. And when you see all sort of like there's this flooding in Sydney at the moment and these terrible fires in California, and you know, yeah, I try to feel optimistic, but it's sort of, the facts don't really add up to one being optimistic, really.
The role of social housing providers has changed. It's not enough to hand over a key, collect the rent money, and carry out repairs. Today's housing providers have a duty of care towards their tenants, who in many cases have a range of different needs and requirements. But we must also remember the needs of our home owners, who reside outside the support systems offered by social housing providers. People are living longer, people are working longer, and more investment is needed to ensure the well-being of older people. The emotional, the physical, the economic, and the social well-being. Because, after all, their future is our future.